Beer Authority. Better beer.
Hi, I'm Andrew Lewandowski, and this is your Better Beer Authority. Thanks for checking out this second part of my interview with Goose Island's brewmaster, Brett Porter. If you haven't seen part one yet, there is a link to that in the description below. With Goose Island being purchased by ABInBev back in 2011, it did leave a bad taste in beer geeks' mouths. While bringing up the subject, I was pleasantly surprised that he even called me out on being a little polite with bringing up the subject.
People have thought negatively sometimes about the thoughts of, AB owning Goose Island.
Don't sugarcoat it. Just give it to me straight. Just lay it out for me, because you're being a little too polite about it. Let's get down to brass tacks about it. Let's get it out for the people who are gonna see this talk we're having.
I appreciate that. No, and so to kind of reset it then. For a lot of beer geeks, the thought of Goose Island being owned by AB or ABInBev, it definitely puts a bad taste in their mouth. What would you say to a lot of those people? The product obviously has spoken for itself lately, but what would you say in response to those thoughts?
Well, a couple of things. Again, there are like any company, there are people who are there because it's their work, and then there are people who are like Willy Buhauser, and I can start rattling off names of people who I can imagine them working for AB or another brewery for no money at all. They love beer. George Reich is an example. Do you know George?
I don't know.
He's past president of MBAA, and he's AB's brewmaster spokesperson for every brand that touches AB. From he spends a lot of time talking to people about Budweiser and Bud Light, but he's also a huge proponent of Goose beers and also some of the wonderful obscure beers that come from Europe, like the beers that come from Pertagnan in Anzen. So you have these incredibly intelligent and fervent lovers of beer who didn't take the package. They stayed on, and because they couldn't imagine themselves doing anything else. And I got to tell you that the way the company is arranged, the hierarchy of the company, one of the things that I really like about it is that there are women in incredibly powerful positions at AB, and where a lot of there are lots of exceptions to this, but brewing in the United States it can be a bit of a sausage party.
True. Yeah.
And you get a whole different perspective from when you have women in your organization, and that's something that they understand and have encouraged. So there's a the person who's ostensibly in charge of innovation. Her name is Jane Killebrew-Gillespie, and she is a wealth of brewing knowledge. She's tough as nails when she needs to be, but she always leaves you with a sense of encouragement and a tacit thank you for your hard work. And there just needs to be more of that. And so that's one of the things I love about AB. One of the things that happened to me a long time ago is that when I worked at Portland Brewing Company, I worked there for 14 years. I started in '91, and I met a guy. I met a guy named Alan Kornhauser, and we talked a little bit earlier about his invention of Liberty Ale. He came to Portland Brewing Company as our third brewmaster, and one day I was dogging down AB, and he said, and he was always so polite, and he never asked anyone to do anything without saying please. Just a really great mentor. And he said, Brett, I hear you saying these things about AB. I want to talk to you about what they've done for the industry. So after work, let's sit down and have a couple of beers, and we'll talk about what AB's done. And so he talked about a number of things they've done, but the two things that stuck with me the most were that the direct contracts that they had with Oregon farmers and Washington farmers and for Willamette hops, they paid much more than the broker would pay. They paid well over market rates because they wanted a steady supply of these hops, and they wanted to make sure that the hop farms stayed in the families so that they could the knowledge from one generation could move to the next and the next and the next. And now you're seeing 5 and 6. There may be some hop farms that are 7 generations old that I'm not sure, but they have consistently paid more for hops than any other entity, save that maybe some Japanese companies who have some really weird specifications for their hops, but they always paid enough so that they could buy seed, they could buy the fertilizers and the other things they needed to successfully grow their crops. They always paid enough so that they could keep their harvesting equipment repaired or buy new. And the same thing, and when they finally pulled the rug out on the Willamette contracts, they gave those farmers 3 years. They paid them for 3 years to not grow Willamette. And it was a scary time for some of them now. And now, with a shortage of aroma hops, they are filling a lot of those fields with Cascades for Goose Island and some of the Canadian breweries, and for the AB breweries. So they pulled those contracts. They did it in a very fair way, and now the contracts that are the direct contracts to the Oregon farmer. And dude, I am a native Oregonian. I am so interested in the health of Oregon hop farmers, I can't tell you. But they have done everything they can to, and they've taken up where they left off, and they're now looking at, they now have lucrative contracts that will pay the bills and allow them to continue to keep those hop farms going. So, and then the same thing happened in the malting industry. A little more draconian, but they could absorb it. They would walk into a plant and say, "Hey, you need to do this, this, and this." The maltsters would go, "I don't know where we're going to find the money." They always did it. And what happened is that we are all the craft breweries are the beneficiaries of better quality hops, better quality malt, and nobody gives a shit. They just want to look at marketing campaigns. They want to look at distributor conflicts, and they don't look at the fundamental. Things that have helped make the brewing industry better. So, if you're using Citra hops, well, part of the reason you're using Citra hops is that that Gene Probasco, the hop breeder at Haas, had support from AB, to develop the hops. So I have no patience for people who talk bad about AB. They need to listen to people who have more experience in the industry.
Right, exactly, and I can understand that because I mean you want to, I guess say what you want about it, but if there's nothing that you have to back it up, then at the same time, then you might as well just be talking to a wall.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so here's my and I have to. We hardly got to talk about the beers, but I know you're going to get to try the rest of them. The thing I'd like to leave you with is that we have a bit of a chip on our shoulder, right? And so we have to continue to perform. We have to continue to innovate, and we're in a better position to do that than we ever have been. And we're leveraging all the things that work in the AB system, their wholesale network, the great work that they're doing, technical work and technical assistance that we can get out of Leuven and also out of St. Louis, and
Mm-hmm.
the breweries that make our beer are as excited to make them as we are. If you could have seen the first day that Fort Collins made 312, it had signs up all over the brewery that's smiles plastered on. They like doing these beers because they're all malt, they're all fun.
And now I couldn't end the interview without trying to get some info out of him regarding BCBS, the hype about the beer, and anything we can expect out of this year's version.
I mean, how much fun is that when, fall rolls around and, the buzz is coming around to, what are the variants going to be? What's, how excited people get when BCBS gets released. Because honestly, I had it for the first time just this year. And, I mean, I fell in love instantly. I mean, how much fun is that?
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. It's getting to be a burden, though. I mean,
Sure.
in the best possible way. I sometimes feel like we've raised the bar so high, particularly on the coffee beer, that we can't go any higher. So yesterday we picked out the coffee that we're going to use this year for our Bourbon County rye variant that has coffee in it. Not
Okay.
rye, it's not a rye variant. It's regular BCS. But it was a heart-wrenching decision. And then last night we had our 26th anniversary party at our Clybourne pub, and I tasted last year's coffee, and I thought, oh my God, this still tastes so good. How are we going to be? Are we taking a step backwards with this coffee? I don't think we are, but still, there are niggling doubts. I worry about these things because I want our customers to be delighted with our beer.
Sure.
I don't want to hear, oh, it's not as good as this year or the previous year. I want our beers to continue to evolve. And again, I'm going to, just like with the Fulton and Woods series, we're going to make some mistakes. But the reason that we're going to make some mistakes is that we're trying to be bold. We want our barrel-aged sours to change each year. We want them to be true vintage beers, and so we're working hard to enhance these products, and we're going to trip up once in a while.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, because like I said, that's always the big one that all the beer geeks talk about is all the different BCBS and variants and whatnot. So we're always looking forward to it, and hopefully we can nab a few maybe sometime around the fall. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I have got to go to this is the Craft Beer Week was supposed to start this coming Thursday. It started on Monday.
Yep.
And I've got an event to go to. I enjoyed talking to you. I thought your questions were great, and anytime you want to talk to me, I'm available. Okay.
Great. Hey, I appreciate it. This was great, and hey, have fun at the event tonight, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. Take it easy.
Thank you again to everyone at Goose Island that helped set up this interview. It was a wonderful opportunity, and we here at the BBA look forward to keeping in touch. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'm Andrew Lewandowski, and this has been your Better Beer Authority.
Better Beer Authority.